Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. It has been a truly chaotic week in the world of the Canaries in terms of transfer news. We've had outgoings, we've had incomings, we've had rumours, and it looks set to be another man on his way into Carrow Road. He goes by the name of Forson Amankwah, 21 years old, box-to-box midfielder from RB Salzburg. Looks set to be signing for Norwich City for around about £4 million. Now, in Championship terms, that's fairly big money. But this chap has a fairly decent CV. He was playing Champions League football last season. He's got 2 international caps for Ghana, 105 career appearances so far, and 12 goals in that time. It looks like Norwich City are already putting that money that we've brought in from Gabi Sarra to good use. Now, I don't know too much about Forson Amankwah, but by the looks of it, Johannes Hoftorp knows a lot about him. It's rumoured to be said that he's kind of tracked his progress for quite some time. He's been allowed to talk to other clubs from RB Salzburg, Anderlecht, Wolfsburg, Freiburg, Stuttgart. All have been interested in this chap, and it looks like Norwich City have won the race to sign him. It was originally One Football reporting this one, a journalist specialising in Ghanaian footballers. And yeah, this one looks like it's pretty much done. Now, Johannes Hoftorp said in his pre-match press conference ahead of Oxford on Saturday that he basically confirmed the rumours. Don't think that that Amankwah's going to be ready to go for Saturday. The transfer might be done by then, but I can't imagine he'll be playing. We've said, haven't we, all along, especially since the departure of Gabi Sarra, it's one of those box-to-box types that we're really crying out for. And to be honest, I don't think we've really had one since Ollie Skip. And it's such a key area of the pitch, and particularly, we've got a few players that could maybe play it. I probably wouldn't say Nunes is box-to-box. You could argue that Kenny McLean could probably do it, but you're going to need more than Kenny McLean throughout a really intensive championship season. You've got cup games thrown in there. It becomes an incredibly demanding campaign. Liam Gibbs, potentially, still not sure where Johannes Hoftorp thinks he's best suited and whether he'll feature in the kind of starting 11. So it's clearly an area that needs strengthening. And this looks to be the man that's going to take over that role. I've looked through his numbers, fairly impressive, still very young, kind of fits the theme of what we're trying to build here at Norwich. And that's really pleasing. It feels as if all of the signings that we've made so far, Cordoba, Callum Doyle, Ben Cressine, they all fit well. They're all young, which really helps. They've all played significant game time, which helps. We're not just throwing in a 21-year-old here who's played some youth appearances here and there, and this is his first break. He's played at a really high level already, and that's really pleasing. It's also good that there's clearly targets lined up for when a big asset was sold. Now, we've had that in the sale of Gabi Sarra. Hopefully there's no more, but there could well be a Johnny Rowe sale before the transfer window ends in, what have we got? Still got 3 weeks of it. So there's still a lot of time, and I suspect those rumours of Rowe, potentially Sargent, potentially someone else will continue and will rumble on. And look, I think Norwich are holding pretty firm in terms of the valuations. Probably want somewhere in and around 15 million quid for Johnny Rowe. I would have said 6-7 million quid for Adam Eder. If those bids come in, then I suspect we will sell them, but it will take a chunk of money that Norwich deems sufficient. They're not going to sell these guys on the cheap. So it's nice to know that if those sales do happen, as we said with Sarra, there's people lined up, ready to go. Forson Amankwah looks like kind of not a like-for-like replacement of Gabi Sarra, but at least in a similar type of position. And they deem this chap to have all of the attributes that we need and that we lack in the current squad. I'm just looking ahead to Oxford, actually, and I'm feeling slightly more optimistic. I think I kind of look at the starting 11 that we could potentially field against Oxford United. And actually, we've retained, certainly going into this game, a lot of our attacking talent. Sargent's still here, Science is still here, Jonathan Rowe at time of recording is still here. So you go into that with a fairly decent front end of the pitch. In terms of the defence, you've got Callum Doyle in now, you've got Jack Stacey. I don't think Cordoba will be fit, which is a real shame, and I think that's certainly one to keep an eye on. We don't want that kind of injury continuing, because I think he's going to be a really important player. But Hanley's still here, Brad Hills might make an appearance. It feels like we're a little bit more covered at left back now, and then in goal you've got Angus Gunn. And then you've got Kenny McLean and Marcelino Nunes, who can do a job in the middle of the pitch. I suspect we'll see Jakob Sorensen probably featuring at some stage as well. You add in Forson Amankwah, granted probably not for Saturday's game, and then it feels as if you've got a fairly balanced squad. And I know that it's not going to be too much different to last season, but last season's squad on paper was pretty decent. I mean, we finished 6th, and I think with a better system, that could have been a lot more than 6th. So much can happen from now until the end of the transfer window. I don't think this will be the last signing, regardless of departures. I think there will be more, and I think Norwich have kind of teased the fact that there will be more. So it feels like we're starting to make some progress now in terms of the transfers. It was an incredibly slow start in the transfer window, and I think that wasn't something unique to Norwich. I think that was across the board. The Euros wouldn't have helped. So it does feel a little bit scatty going into the start of the season. It feels like there's still a lot of pieces still needing to be put in place. But I'm starting to feel now a little bit more a bit more confident, and I'm fascinated to see how Saturday goes. I really like the way in which we're kind of identifying players. They feel of a similar mould. It does feel as like we're building an identity. And look, this is going to take time. It's not going to be an instant rebuild. This does feel like a transition season. And look, I know that it feels like we've been in a transition for about the last 4 seasons, but this genuinely is now. New sporting director, new head coach. It will take time to try and embed these new players in. Hawthorpe has inherited a squad that isn't his, obviously. You've got Ashley Barnes and Shane Duffy, etc., who were brought in kind of the last era of recruitment, and that's obviously very different to this one. And I'm not saying that they were necessarily bad signings, but there were certainly contrasting ideas in terms of the makeup of this squad. So this feels like another signing that fits the model, and now we just have to see if that model works. I like the way that we're going. We're certainly spending money. 4 million quid on Cordoba, 4 million quid on Forson Amankwah. Callum Doyle isn't going to be cheap in terms of a loan signing. £1.5 million on Ben Christine. Like, that's fairly sizable for a championship squad, and we should be spending the money. Don't get me wrong. If we're making sales in Gavi Sarum, we're selling our best players, then that needs to be reinvested. And let's just keep our fingers crossed that this reinvestment is spent wisely, because we've seen it before, haven't we? Money thrown up the wall with the proceeds of Emi Buendia sales and James Maddison sales, etc. We don't want any more Christoph Zollers this year, and I'm not saying that he was a bad player, by the way, but the handling of that and the implementation of that was all wrong. Let's just hope that we fare better this time. But let me know what you think of Forson Amankwah, 21 years old, currently at RB Salzburg, Ghanaian international. It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. Oxford, very much on the horizon. Plenty of content still to come this week, so stay locked into Talk Norwich City. Thanks for all of your support in the recent videos, and I'll catch you all again very soon. Bye-bye.